Okay, y'all. So Armand is traumatized and Louis is traumatized, and it all leads back to the same doggone vampire, that doggone Lestat, y'all.
Just pulled up to the house. Don't feel like getting out. I'ma just lay back and cry.
What is up, everybody? What is up? It is your girl EJ, and I am back with another quick thoughts first impression over Interview with the Vampire. This is season 2, episode 3, y'all. Now, in this particular episode, some of the main things that stick out to me is that Armand and Louis, of course, are falling for each other, but I love how we got this backstory of how Armand meets Lestat, how they kind of come to be, and how Lestat just straight up played Armand. The theme I feel like we have here is that Lestat is always about himself. Lestat is great at luring people in and getting them to see what he wants them to see. Here we have two vampires that fell for Lestat, that are completely in love with him, that fell for him, and that are very, very much traumatized by the scars that he left them with. Now, we can say that Louis definitely had much more, with when it comes to Lestat, because they spent so many years together. I want to say 30 years is the time frame that they spent together. And Armand was just somebody that Lestat really just used in order to get what he wanted. And I tell you, it was certainly an interesting way to look at it. But one thing about it is Armand being truthful, y'all? Like right now, I'm still on the fence about Armand and what's truthful and what's not truthful, because I don't know, y'all. Something about Armand is just not really rubbing me the right way. Now, there was also a moment where we also get to meet a whole nother entity inside of this episode. I cannot think of the name of what their name is right now, and I apologize for that. It starts with a T, but um when Malloy goes to the restaurant to, eat a meal, he goes out or whatever, there's this guy that's sitting at the thing, and he seems to know a lot about what's going on. He seems to know a lot about the vampires that he's talking to. And he even lets him know, like, look, hey, you're not the first. There were 4 others before you, and none of them are alive right now. So like this is going to get really interesting, because we're bringing in this whole nother set of people who actually know about the existence of vampires, and they don't seem to be on board with Armand and Louis. So this is kind of making me wonder, like, where are we about to go with this? So let me know what y'all think about this. So anyway, y'all, they also ended up sending him a bunch of files with a lot of information in it. Of course, he's not going to let them in on what he knows, and he must be working really, really hard to not think about it. Or maybe they're just not invading his thoughts at this time, because how can they not know that that he was sent this information? Like I said, unless he's working really hard on blocking his thoughts from them. But nevertheless, what's more important is this whole thing with Claudia. Claudia wants to belong to somewhere. Like her whole mission is she wants to be a part of something. And I don't know, y'all. Like I feel like I don't know exactly what has happened to Claudia, because clearly we don't see Claudia in this present day form. I feel like this is the information that maybe Louis and Armand are looking for. Maybe it has something to do with Claudia, but I'm not quite sure exactly what they're wanting from Malloy just yet. But when it's all said and done, my biggest thing is what happened to Claudia. Why is there this disconnect between Claudia and Louis? And did she leave and never return? Or did she end up getting unalived maybe by these other vampires, this coven? Or is she away with her coven? Because she did join the coven, right? She joined the coven. Now she has taken a vow, she's taken an oath, and she is going to follow these rules that the coven has, and they have these laws. So maybe she's off with the coven, because we know know that Armand clearly chose Louis over the coven. We know that he was told that he needed to get rid of Louis because Louis doesn't want to be a part of a coven. Louis is out here trying to find himself. Louis just wants to be by himself. He really doesn't trust anybody. And how can he, after years and years and years of being with Armand, not Armand, with Lestat, it's probably going to be really hard to trust people, and so I can't really be mad at Louis. Louis just wants to live his life the way he wants to live his life, not really bound by the rules of these vampires. He is very different from them, and unaliving people is not as easy for him as it is for others, except for when he get angry, because we know that he still has the nature of the vampire. Like, at the end of the day, just because he is not comfortable with it and because he doesn't like it, it's still his nature. His nature is to unalive people and drink their blood and all of this stuff. So, there's that. So anyway, y'all, I'm really concerned about this vampire Santiago. I really feel like he is going to maybe take Claudia out. Like, she's really really into this whole coven thing, but we do kind of see a moment where she thinks that she's getting one thing, but it just kind of goes back to the same thing. And there's even a moment where Armand says something about her being 14 years old when she was turned, and that didn't really allow her to fully grow up. So once again, she's back at this position where people are looking at her as this baby vampire, because now, yes, she's going to be a part of the coven and now she's going to have a role in the play, but guess what, they want her to play a baby. They want her to play this childlike figure. It feels like Claudia is always trying to show that she is not a child, and I really feel like that's why you shouldn't turn vampires when they're young. Like, they need to be able to grow. Like, it just doesn't make any sense because you're going to stifle them at the point where they are. Claudia, to me, just seems like the exception, because we know that she's super smart. We know that she um has had this ability to grow and really try to catch up with, even though her body is never going to catch up with her mind. It does feel like she really she gets it, like she's not stuck in the childlike mind. Her mind has grew, and she's complicated, yet she is just, I don't know, she's just this character that, to me, she's battling this whole thing of being turned as a child and nobody really seeing her for who she is on the inside, and instead they're looking at who she is on the outside. So I think that that's going to be another issue. Even though, like I said, I think Claudia, she feels like she's found something that she really wants, but at the same time, I don't see this really ending well for her, in my opinion. Or either she's going to get sucked into this whole Santiago thing and he's going to turn her against Louis, or maybe, Louis is going to have to run. Like, we know that that's inevitably coming. Louis is going to have to leave this place because he's not going to be able to stay there with this coven, because they're going to want him gone. Like, they don't think that he should be able to live anyway, because that's the whole purpose. Armand is supposed to go and get rid of him, but instead Armand is falling for him, and it looks like Armand is going to be put in this position where he's going to have to choose between the coven that he's known all these years, or he's going to have to choose Louis. And I mean, we clearly see that all these years later, 47 years later, he's still with Louis. So that's what he chooses. But how do we even get to this path? And what happens with Claudia? What is this big thing that is going to happen? Is it truly going to be a misunderstanding as to her not realizing that they want to unalive Louis and that he doesn't have a choice but to leave? And I know I saw in the trailer where she says, you're picking them again. You're choosing someone else over her again. But at the end of the day, they want him gone. So is he really choosing someone over her? Or did she, now that she's part of this coven, she's kind of locked into this thing where, you chose to be with this coven, I didn't want to be with the coven. So I think it's going to be interesting to see what actually leads up to this disconnect between Claudia and Louis, because clearly it is still haunting him. He's still very hurt by it. But anyway, y'all, this was a really good episode. I really enjoyed this episode. Once again, the name of this episode was called No Pain, y'all, but the But the crazy part about it is that throughout the entire episode, we are experiencing all the pain of everyone. We experience the pain of Armand when he meets Lestat. Well, first we experience his pain from when he first has his coven and they're living underground, and they just aren't living the way that Lestat thinks that they should be living out in the open. He shows them a different way, but then he wants to learn the tricks. You know what I'm saying? He wants to learn the gifts, so he uses Armand to do so. Armand thought he was in love, and boom, he broke his heart. Pain. Louis the same way. Louis is in constant pain all the time. Louis cannot get rid of Lestat. Like, he is inside of him for forever. It's crazy because throughout the entire time that we've seen this character, Louis, all we've ever seen is pain, pain, pain. And then there's Claudia. Even though she's trying to mask and hide this pain, Claudia has pain as well. She wants to belong somewhere, but at the end of the day, she's still being treated the same exact way. Everybody's still looking at her like a child, like a kid. And, that's just not who she is. And she even opens up about her pain inside of this episode. We actually get like the full story of what actually happened with Bruce and how he had her, under the ground, and all the things that he did. And, the last things that he said to her, which was that he didn't want to see her gloomy face anymore, how he used to tell her that he loved her after he essayed her, several times throughout the day. More, it was a very hard that part was very hard to listen to. However, I just like how the title of it is entitled "No Pain," which is what Santiago says to the victims that he's about to take. But all we're experiencing throughout the entire episode is everybody's pain, everybody's trauma, because clearly Armand and Louis have trauma bonded, and I don't know. This is going to be interesting, y'all. So anyway, y'all, go ahead and let me know what y'all thought about this episode down below. Let me know what you think about Lestat's trifling ass. Let me know what you thought about Armand. Is Armand on the up and up? Is he being truthful or is he not being truthful? Is anything that he's saying actually the truth? What do you guys think that they want from Malloy? And how is this new group of people that we are now finding out that knows about the vampires and are trying to tell Malloy about it? How do you think they're going to play into this as well? Will Claudia stay with Santiago and the coven? How is this all going to play out? Go ahead and get the conversation started down below, guys. Meanwhile, if you like the video, make sure to go ahead and like, share, and subscribe to your girl channel and turn on your notifications so that you do not miss out on any of my future interview with the vampire talks. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.